The Abraham Accord, it's a way that we want a path for the whole region.
Welcome to Global Perspectives. Every week I'll be bringing you the most important conversations in the Jewish world. This week it's my distinct honor and pleasure to bring you His Excellency Dr. Ali Al Nuaimi, who's a member of the United Arab Emirates Federal Council for the Emirate of Abu Dhabi and serves as well on the Defense, Interior, and Foreign Affairs Committee. Dr. Alnuaimi is also an international expert on countering extremism with over 30 years of achievement in the government, non-government, and private sectors, and currently serves as the chairman of Hidayah. It is my honor, Dr. Ali Al-Nuaimi, to have you here with us, Your Excellency. Thank you so much for joining us on Global Perspectives.
Thank you very much. It's nice to see you, even it's online. And thank you for giving me the opportunity to be part of this.
So I wanted to ask you first about the Abraham Accords, which is, I think, for many of our viewers, the most exciting development in the Middle East in 26 years. Your country, the United Arab Emirates, was in fact the first country to be a signatory to the Abraham Accords. I wanted to ask you this. What is it about the Emirates that allowed your country to play this leadership role in the region?
Well, first, we know that UAE is a small country, but, since we got our independence in 1971, we had a leadership who has the vision, where we came a long way, in developing our country and in investing in the people, actually, especially in the empowerment of women, engagement of the youth, investment in education, and investment in the common values that we have as human beings, especially when it's come to coexistence. At the same time, we acknowledge that we are part of the region, and our region has suffered a lot, suffered of wars, of hate, of terrorism, extremism. And always, we thought, our leadership thought about, well, we keep doing things the same way in the last 70, 80 years. And the people are suffering, the youth are suffering, and we see no hope. So we thought that, we should think about something else, think outside the box. And, here where our leadership thought about, let's think about this from a comprehensive point of view. It's not an issue of war. It's not a political difference. Let's engage history, culture, and religion, to bring the people in the Middle East together.
Dr. Al-Nuaimi, and you have been yourself at the forefront of helping the Middle East and North Africa region achieve peaceful coexistence. And so I know I personally and so many others are grateful for you and everything that you do every day. You recently published an op-ed in Newsweek. The title was, quote, "I worked on the Abraham Accords. It's time to free the Palestinians from Hamas and Iran." And in the piece, you wrote about the recent conflict between Israel and Hamas. And you tell us that the conflict is not between Israel and the Palestinians, but in fact between Israel and Iran. Could you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, you see, we believe that, the Palestinian people, they are like us. They deserve to live a decent life, They deserve to enjoy a lifestyle as we do, as the Israeli. Our goals is to have, to have security, stability, prosperity for everyone, and we can't exclude anyone. And if we exclude any party, that means all of us would suffer. So we believe that peace for all, and this is why, we think that the Palestinian people have suffered a lot, but they suffered because they didn't have the right leadership, because their leadership actually is using them, to serve a personal agenda. It's not an agenda for the Palestinian people. And here where we saw that Hamas and Al-Jihad actually are following an Iranian regime agenda in the whole region. We need to create a narrative to gain the heart and the mind of the Palestinian, to, convince them that Hamas and Al-Jihad are not doing anything that will serve you and benefit you. They are, a proxy for the Revolution Guard serving the Iranian regime. And this is where, I believe that everyone should, focus on this. And I believe it's not myself, an Emirati or the Israeli, it's our American friends, the European, Canadian, Australian. We should speak one language. So, the Palestinian will hear one voice from all of us, that you have to get rid of Hamas and Al-Jihad and look for a new leadership that will focus on peace to create a better future for the Palestinian.
Dr. Alnuaimi, I couldn't agree with you more. And when I had the honor of meeting you when I was in office at the State Department, and we met in Abu Dhabi, I think you may remember I was born in Iran myself. And so what I know that many people in the Middle East are very clear-eyed is the Iranian threat, and the fact that when you look at the terrorism in the region, you look at the instability, all roads lead back to Tehran. So my hope is with this interview and with all of the work that you do, that Western leaders will in fact heed your advice about really educating the Palestinian population about how Iran is undermining their best interests and their future. In fact, I want to move us along to another area of your tremendous expertise and leadership, and that's as chairman of Hedaya, which is a think tank that works to counter extremism. And what I wanted to ask you a little bit about, when I was there in the Emirates with you, I was so thrilled to learn about the steps that the government of the Emirates has taken over the years to root out extremism and radicalism within your own society. And so I was wondering if you could share with our audience what those steps were, and also your recommendations for the Western world.
Okay, well, Hidayah it's not a think tank. It's a think and do tank. We think and we do. We deliver, actually. And it's an international center based in Abu Dhabi. I chair that center. Our vision is this. We believe that terrorism is a threat to the world, and that no single nation will be able by itself to counter terrorism, that we should work together to counter terrorism. And it's a threat to all of us. This is why we believe that we should put our political differences aside when it comes to countering terrorism. And we believe that we won't be able to counter terrorism unless we go to the root, where we counter extremism and hate. And this is where, we believe that we should develop a strategy based on prevention and holistic. And when I say holistic, I mean engaging all the stakeholders within the society, the educational sector, religious leaders, community leaders, public figures, NGO, legislators, everyone, to what? To create a better outcomes through the educational system and other platforms, where everyone will believe in coexistence, where everyone will believe in freedom of religion, where everyone will respect others. This is where we invested in the UAE. And, when I say prevention, we don't want until people get radicalized and then we develop programs to counter that. No, we invest in our educational system, so the new generation will raise believing in the value that we share as all human, where coexistence is a major component within, our mindset, our behavior, our values.
Dr. Alnuaimi, in the West, I think we've had that tradition for a long time, but we have a challenge right now, which is that we are seeing a lot of people in the United States and in Europe who cannot distinguish between your average Muslim woman and man and the radical Islamist forces. And so in the West, we're seeing this penetration by Muslim Brotherhood associated organizations and other radicalist forces. And again, I think it's a failure of the West to be able to distinguish between again, moderate Muslims, which is the vast majority of Muslims in the world, and this fringe radical group. And so I was wondering if you might have suggestions for the West in how they can do better on this issue.
Well, last week I had Zoom with many European friends related to the national threat that they are facing in many European countries. And I mentioned this, unfortunately, the Muslim Brotherhood and these extremists, they played with the laws that they have. They use the laws related to freedom of speech. And actually, it's not a freedom of speech. What they are doing, they hijacking the heart and the mind of the Muslim in the West, and promoting within that culture, the Muslim community culture, a hate and extremism idea, where they are radicalizing the community at the end. And this is why I told some of our German friends and French, I told them, well, how come in some of your towns and city, the second language is German? In France, there is areas, even in Paris, the second language is French. It is because the failure of the integration of those new immigrants in the whole community. And when I say integration, that does not mean that they maintain their religion. No, but they have to follow the laws that in that country. If they want to live in that nation, they have to create a version of Islam in that nation that follow the regulation, the bylaws, the constitution of that nation. And this is where I think the failure that happened in the West. They thought that it's a freedom of religion, freedom of speech, let them come, with whatever they think. But actually, they came with a mentality that their root is in the Middle East, and they want to change the Western society to be as the community that they left. And unfortunately, because of the ideology of the Muslim Brotherhood to create the caliphate, they always preach in a way that there is Muslim and there is non-Muslim. And we are right and the other are non-believer. And this is where, they don't build bridges of respect and trust, actually. No, they build gaps and they promote hate within the mindset of the Muslim towards the others.
Dr. Alnuaimi, again, when I hear you, I so much appreciate your moral clarity. And so I think it's really incumbent on the leaders in Europe, in the United States, to be seeking you out and seeking out millions of others like yourself who can really help guide the West on the issues that you mentioned on integration and really understanding the differences again between average Muslims and the radicals. I want to move back to your beautiful country, the United Arab Emirates. When I was there visiting in office, I had the great pleasure of going to Abu Dhabi, and right next to the Louvre Abu Dhabi, as you know, is this land that is going to be developed into the Abrahamic Family House, and I think I got the right name, Abrahamic Family House. And it's I've seen the architectural renderings. It's going to be stunning. Could you tell us a little bit about the genesis of that idea? I know that it predates the Abraham Accords.
Yes, actually, we announced about the Abrahamic house family or family house during the Pope Francis visit to Abu Dhabi. During that visit, we announced that. And the idea actually, we wanted to send a message. You know, during the mass that Pope Francis held in Abu Dhabi, it was unique because usually when Pope Francis visits any country, his follower, the Catholic, attend the mass. When he came to Abu Dhabi, actually, it was different. About 4,000 students from our schools, Muslim, attended that mass. About 5 ministers, Hindu, Jews, Baha'i, other Christian sector, all religion that represented in the UAE, actually, we helped them to come and attended that mass. So that gave us, an idea. Why don't we do something to bring those leaders, religious leaders, where they can show the world that they can live together. They can send messages through something as a symbol. So that's where the idea of the Abrahamic family house came. So in that, there will be a mosque, a church, and a synagogue. And it will be together. There is an area that will be in common, but there is area that will be private to each religion follower. The message that we have to live together. We shouldn't fight. The message that we want, because we are part of the Arabian Peninsula, that Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, their root is in our area. They were born in our area, and they are part of our history, and they should be part of our future also. So this is the real message.
Dr. Alnuaimi, and again, I've seen the architectural renderings. It's going to be gorgeous and stunning, as much of the Emirates is. But even right now, when I was in the Emirates in December, it was the holiday of Hanukkah. And on Friday night, I was invited to the synagogue of Rabbi Ellie Abadi. I think what would be really surprising to some people is to know that on that Friday night in Dubai, there was the one synagogue of Rabbi Ellie Abadi. There was a second synagogue of the Chabad of Dubai. And there was even a third Friday night Shabbat gathering. And so right now in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, we're seeing flourishing Jewish communities. We're seeing kosher food, a number of kosher food restaurants. I understood the latest statistics before I think COVID started to affect travel was that there were over 50,000 Israeli tourists that had come to the Emirates. And so I'm just wondering, when you see all that, is it the unfolding of the Abraham Accords that you're witnessing? What are your thoughts?
Well, first, you see, actually last December, we had about 130,000 Israeli visiting the UAE. But because of the restriction, the numbers went down. You see, I just want you to know this. I was the first to talk to the Israeli or the Jewish community in the UAE. And, many of them, they were shocked to see that a UAE official coming to talk to us, what he's going to say. So the first thing, my message was to them, I told them, look, I want to welcome you to the UAE. It's not that you chose to come here. We want you to be part of our community. So I want you to know this. I want you to know that you are welcome to live with us and share, the achievement and the outcome of this country and the diversity that we have. The diversity that we have will not be completed unless Jews are part of it. So I told them, I want you to know that you are welcome in this community, and we are here, happy to have you part of us. So what we wanted, we wanted to bring something different to the table and to show that there is an engagement not only between the government, but between the people, actually. And it's not in politics, security, and economy. No, it's even in culture and engagement of the people. And this is where we are really happy to see, the interaction between the Israeli and the Emirati youth.
Yeah, I have to tell you what I witnessed myself when I was there in the Emirates. It really just, I think, changed any stereotype I think that people might have about the Arab world. There was just such a warm people to people embrace of all those Israeli tourists, of American Jewry, and so it's an incredible sight to behold, and I really encourage people to go visit the Emirates and experience it for themselves. Dr. Nuaimi, I want to ask you just a couple of more questions. At the end of the Trump administration, there was an announcement made that there were about 4 other Arab and Muslim countries that were considering making warm peace deals along the lines of what the United Arab Emirates did first, and then Bahrain, Morocco, and Sudan followed afterwards. What is your thinking on that? Are you optimistic that we can achieve further peace deals in the region?
Well, first, I want to say this. There is no way back. And the Abraham Accord, it's not, we didn't do it because there is a president called, Donald Trump, or a prime minister, Benjamin Netanyahu. No, we did it between the nation. It's not between, certain politician. No, it's more than that. And it's a way that we want a path for the whole region. And this is why we are moving very fast in the engagement with the Israeli, to be a role model for the other countries, the Arab countries and Muslim countries, actually, to show the added value of making peace. Because in peace, we all would win. But in wars, there is no winner at the end.
I think a lot of people are calling it the peace dividend. And undoubtedly, your leadership and the United Arab Emirates leadership will hopefully help get everyone there. And so, Dr. Alnuaimi, this is my last question to you. Your vision for the Middle East. I think you spoke at the beginning of our interview about the hardships that the people in the region have gone through, and certainly it's a region where people have gone through a lot of war, a lot of difficult times, and there are countries in the region that to this day are still suffering: Lebanon, Iraq, Syria. What is your vision for the Middle East, and how do you think we can get there?
Well, you see, as I said, there is no way back. Those who are, who want to divide us, those who have, believe in an ideology that, of destroying the common things that we share as human beings, they sacrifice for what they believe in. I believe also we should, who believe in peace, who should be willing to sacrifice, and should work as for peace as a priority in our agenda wherever we go. And this is why, I urge always our friends, the American friends, the European, please, when you look at the Middle East now, consider the Abraham Accord as the gateway for talking with any officials, or funding any programs, or creating any initiatives. Make sure that the Abraham Accord component is there, or don't do it. Don't engage in it. This is the way that we'll be able to change the region. We won't be able to do it ourselves. We need the engagement of all those who believe in peace to work with us, actually, and to focus, actually, in creating a narrative that especially will gain the heart and the mind of the youth.
His Excellency, Dr. Rashid Ali Al Nuaimi, it's really been our honor and pleasure to have you with us on Global Perspectives. I thank you so much, and I look forward to hopefully many more collaborations into the future.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And look forward to seeing you either in the state or in the UAE.
While Dr. Ali Al Nuaimi is clearly an extraordinary human being, I think he represents millions of others in the Middle East and North Africa region who do not get their voices heard often enough. Finally, what was so inspiring for me was hearing Dr. Al-Nuaimi's vision for a Middle East of peace and prosperity. I hope you found that inspiring too, and I hope you'll join me for the next edition of Global Perspectives.